Hello, my friends. Welcome back to another episode, and this is our final episode for 2025 on a mother's journey to holistic health and healing. And I want to get into a few things today. This is episode 49, I believe. And before we get into that, I just want to say I hope you had a blessed holiday season with, if you're in the States and you celebrate Thanksgiving or Christmas or wherever you're at, that you had a blessed holiday. And fortunately, over here, we are a family, a household of sickness. So my children and my husband have been super sick with this flu. Seems like a different kind of strain these days. It's just been seems really more intense and really rough. Thankfully, I have not caught that. I'm starting to feel a little bit of things here and there, a little bit of aches, but I'm praying that I can continue doing what I'm doing to just help avoid it at all costs, really, because it's just been terrible to see my kids and my husband really just be in misery. So I hope you're staying healthy. I hope your children are staying healthy in your family. And today's going to be all about I'm going to be sharing a little bit about this year in terms of like some of my learning lessons, some wins, kind of like a self-reflection. And we'll end with a little bit of like kind of some self-reflection questions that can help us to support us and really just celebrating ourselves. Really, that's one of the main things I feel like, that's something that I continue to work on. And just because, it's a new year coming up soon, we don't have to rush into it. So I really wanted this to be kind of like a space for us to just reflect, slow down before, this new 2026 comes upon us, right? Before we rush into a new year with goals, resolutions, expectations. Really, I just want us, you and I, to invite ourselves to pause for a moment. And, if you're not able to fully do that today, maybe you give yourself another time throughout your day or another day to do some self-reflecting from maybe some of the questions that I will share a little bit later. But yeah, this episode is really just about honoring the journey that you've been on, where you're at, if you're spiritually starting, if you're looking to start your healing journey and you're just not quite sure, you're being pulled in different directions, confused on what to start, where to start, what to do. Want to just really honor, what you're navigating through, any challenges, what you've learned, and also, maybe who you've become along the way and how you've changed. That is definitely something to celebrate and honor. And, because even if this year felt messy or unfinished, or like maybe you didn't get to do what you wanted to do or accomplish what you wanted to accomplish, there's still so much there that it's worth acknowledging. And so I think we are so worth that, but we don't really give ourselves that time or grace to do that. And that's something that I definitely always encourage my clients to do and work on myself as well. So yeah, in today's episode, I'm sharing my own wins and lessons from this past year, along with some gentle supportive reflection questions to help us close this chapter, this 2025, with clarity and grace. And, just know that you don't need to fix anything right now. Okay. Let's just be here and breathe and let this podcast episode meet you exactly where you are. So yeah, let's get right into it. One of the things, I'm not going to lie, that helped me with reflecting back was looking at my Instagram feed, and then also photos of, in my phone. And I don't know if you have a Google or Snapchat or whatever that always comes up with these reminders of pictures that come up from your year, right? That also helped me to kind of remember some of the things, some of the challenges I've gone through, some of the wins, and just because I haven't gone back into my journal lately to do that yet. So yeah, so I want to go ahead and let's start with, I can start with some of the things that I've definitely feel really good about and proud of as starting the beginning year. So last year during this time, was it last year? Okay, 2024 during this time in December, in the fall time especially, I was really my nervous system, my stress, my pressure to just handling the motherhood when my girls, my twins were in this young age still, and my son as well. And I felt like I was burnt out. I felt really overwhelmed. I felt really burnt out. Just so tired all the time because I believe that during that time they still weren't sleeping fully and normally. And so it was really a time where I was feeling like helpless and tired and overwhelmed, and I was just praying for it to pass. One of those things where you feel like, okay, this is just a season, they're going to grow out of it. And it was just really praying for that part to pass, so I can just feel a bit more like myself again. And sure enough, as the new year approached, things started to soften, and I started to get more deeper into my spiritual practices, like my energy work and my meditation. And, those things have really been my anchor, my yoga practice, my movements, my prayer, my rituals have really been my anchor to helping me ground into my breath, into my body, into remembering that, yes, times are very challenging, times are hard, and I don't want to minimize that. But also at the same time, I remind myself that, this is a human experience and we're here to learn. This is a time, like, we're on this planet to learn. We have our children to learn from as well, and to have these beautiful experiences and experience a variety of tons of emotions, and all at the same time sometimes as well. And so sometimes I look at the bigger picture to help me put things into perspective that, we often take, or myself, I should say, I speak for myself, can take life too seriously sometimes. And so sometimes when I put things into perspectives, it helps me soften a bit more as well. So I have realized that over the time, as I keep reminding myself that, don't take this too seriously, have fun, be playful, enjoy the moment, don't be so hard on yourself, you're still learning, creating really all these comforting phrases and words that are helping to support me throughout this time. And I think that's also one of the things that has really helped me, is like I started transitioning from 2024 into 2025 with more ease, is I started giving myself more permission to just feel and acknowledge what I was feeling, and know that it's okay, right? And we're going to get through it. It's going to pass. And so it was around that time when on my podcast as well, I wanted to start bringing in other women and speakers. That's something I'm definitely proud of, is connecting and networking with other women outside of like my normal circle of friends and people I know. That was something I hadn't done before. So I was really proud of myself, and really proud of myself for reaching out, going out of my comfort zone and reaching out to people, other women, to help them, to asking them to come share their healing journey and stories on the podcast to inspire other women, other moms, for their medicine as well. So that's been a really beautiful, something I've been really, really proud of for this year, is connecting with other women so that they can come on and share their medicine, their healing stories. That one is a really big one for me that I feel really good about. Another one is, so at the beginning of the year, that is when, in February, my grandmother passed away. So, the beginning of the year started off with like excitement, kind of like looking forward to the new year and the podcast and having all these awesome, wonderful guests on, and just to inspire, then it came the loss of my grandmother, who I was always really close to. I grew up with her. She took care of me as my parents worked. I just have so many beautiful memories of my grandma. And so it was a really hard time for me. And, I still missed her. I still try to connect with her in spirit. And it was around that time that then my YouTube channel was born and created for my guided meditations. So I've shared this in another episode, but guided meditations has been such a helpful tool for me, like a life-saving tool and resource and healing, part of my healing journey, because it's helped me like slow down my nervous system. It's helped me build trust again and faith again. It's helped me build that muscle and build that practice. And I've been using guided meditation since, before my son was born. So it was about 8 or 9 years ago. And when I had my son, or when I was pregnant with my son, I had a lot of fears about losing him because of my first pregnancy loss. And so it was really through these guided meditations that, inspired me and gave me a lot of hope and faith and trust that everything was going to be okay. And so I remember thinking to myself, I would love to create something like this before. I wish I could create something like this one day. I want to create these. And so when my grandmother passed, something kind of just kept, like a voice in my head just keep coming out, like, just start it. Just start it now. Start it now. There's never going to be a perfect time to do it. And so I did. I started it. And although I'm not posting, 2 meditations per month as I started off, I'm still at least posting once a month, which is good enough for me. And so a lesson that I learned from that was definitely there's never going to be a perfect time to start what we want to start, to do what we want to do. There's just never going to be a perfect time. There's so much going on, right? With our life, with our work, with our kids. It's just nonstop sometimes in chaos. And for me, a way of slowing down for me was creating this podcast. And so some people might think like, oh, well, you're just doing more. You're creating more. You're doing more of this and that. You have all this stuff. How can you keep up with it? But for me, because it's something that brings me joy and it's something I'm passionate about and it fills me up and lights me up, it doesn't affect me in that way. Instead, it's a moment for me to pause, for me to slow down. And if I don't do those, then I'm rushing. Then I'm getting caught up in the doing and the productivity. So that's one of my another learning lesson is definitely there's not going to be a perfect time to start what you want to start, okay? Or what you want to do or what's been on your mind. So there's been something on your mind that you've been wanting to start, a course, a class, coaching, anything at all. There's never going to be a perfect time. You just got to do it, right? We got to manage our mind and get support if you need it. So yeah, I miss my grandma, but that's one of the things that's come out of that. Some other things, let's see, what was another thing that I feel really good about throughout the year? Oh, like my podcast episode hit 1 year anniversary and also 1,000 plus followers. And so downloads, I mean. So that was something I was really proud of and happy that, even though I have those imposter syndrome or those negative, words that come in of like, oh, is anybody even listening? Is this even helping anybody? Right? It's like sometimes we don't always get feedback like we want or validation, external validation, which is something I continue to work on. I still get those thoughts, right? I still get those thoughts. That's normal. Like we have a human brain. We're going to get these thoughts, but now I have a way of managing them and working through them. And I try not to let them bring me down. And so I still show up and I still keep going, right? So even if I can just reach one person or 2 or 5 or whoever, right? That still helps me see that I am bringing value and that my voice does matter and yours does too. Yours does too. So that's one thing that I've also learned is, just because I'm not getting any external validation doesn't mean that I am helping people, right? And that just because I'm not receiving all these comments or messages or reviews doesn't mean that it's not being of value and I'm not being of service to anybody. So just looking at things differently as well has been a learning lesson that I don't have to rely. There's no need to rely on external validation anymore if I can feel it from within. And that is something I'm still working on strengthening, really, to be honest. So I'm just going to get some water. All right. Yeah. Some other things I'm really good about is working through inner child work and getting deeper into, so I joined an energy healing group, a women's group. It was a small group where we did a lot of work with healing, and it included our inner child and just things that we might have, gone through that have been traumatic for us. And it was through energy work and meditation. And so allowing myself that time to, with these other women, which I'd never done before. I always feel like I had kind of like what they call like a sister wound, where if you had friends, female friends that hurt you in the past, or anyone in your family that was a female that hurt you in the past, whether it was physically, mentally, or emotionally, it left you like a wound in your heart and so in your spirit. So this was a way to help me heal that as well. And so that was something I was really proud of as well. I wasn't I didn't show up to every single perfect one live, but I showed up when I could, and I did the work that I could, and I put in the work that I could. And like I said, there's no perfect time, right? We just gotta do it. And so that's something I'm really proud of, is completing that. And that also helped me to, I feel like I said, heal through some of those wounds that I didn't know I was still grieving or holding on to. Some other things that I've been really proud of is, so I signed up for a curanderismo course, learning about curanderismo through a university, which activated something within me to start connecting with plants and start making herbal medicines and learning herbal medicine, and deeper into energy work, or if you want to call it limpias. And so that has been something I've been slowly dipping my toes into right now, is herbal medicine, and studying herbal medicine and creating all different kinds of medicines, not just for myself, but for my family and some friends. And not only that, I'm not just creating these because, for our physical body, but I'm also creating them for a way of healing, a medicine that heals us mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And I've been able to really connect with them on a spiritual level, which has been really miraculous and magical, that I plan to share more about, in next year, as well as maybe I might start a new Instagram channel for that. So that's going to be a totally separate thing. So definitely be proud of myself for, following those nudges, the light, the sounds, the voices in my head, the energy that lit me up, So the lesson here is, think about what lights you up and what brings you energy and what makes you happy and brings joy, because that is a sign, a stepping stone onto your pathway of your purpose, right? And so that leads us into another whole other thing, is, what is my purpose here on this earth? What am I meant to do here in this planet, right? In this physical body, in this that I'm in right now. So that's been really, really beautiful to help me just kind of come into more like alignment with seeing what my purpose is and what I'm here to do and share. Let's see, some of the things that I was proud about. Going on some podcast episodes to share about my healing journey. It's something I hadn't done in a long time. And I was invited on to two podcast episodes this year. And so that was really exciting for me. I hadn't done that in a while. And so I was able to speak out and use my voice and share. And so again, to you, if there's something that you want to share, but you're not quite sure how to express it, you maybe think about going on a podcast to share it. Like mine, for example, there's always podcast hosts looking for guests on their shows. If you go onto Instagram threads and you look for podcast, like the hashtag thread, you're going to find so many people asking and looking for guests. So if you've always wanted to be a guest, you've been thinking about it and sharing your story, but you've just been nervous and scared too, I encourage you to maybe think about that. Reach out to them. And you never know what kind of medicine you could bring to somebody else. And let's see, what else? Is there anything else that I've been... Oh, yeah, one of the other big ones is letting go of unnecessary pressure that I was putting on myself. Not just on myself, but on my partner. And so when I realized that these high expectations I was putting on myself and my partner, like a big weight was released off of my shoulders. And that changed the dynamic completely between he and I and myself as well. I was just a lot more lighter and just it allowed me to give myself more grace. So that's one thing that I would share, as a lesson. Where do you feel like you are putting unnecessary pressure on yourself? And you might notice this by how you feel. If you feel like you're, feeling more overwhelmed or burnt out because you didn't meet a certain task or goal or, anything like that, maybe it's that it was a little set too high, their standards, and it's okay if you soften them a little bit. It's okay if you change them and make it more flexible and tailored to your circumstances, because our circumstances are always changing. Our chapters, our seasons are always changing, especially with our kids. And that's one of our superpowers as moms, is we can adapt. We can change and go with whatever happens. Like one minute you have kids that are healthy and the next minute they're sick, and then you can't go do whatever XYZ we're going to do. We have to adapt, right? I feel like that's one of our superpowers, is our adaptability. And sometimes we just have no choice. And so that's why we're so good at it. So yeah. And the last thing that I almost forgot to share that I am proud of is hosting and putting together my first online women's winter solstice ceremony. So I knew that I wanted to make it small and intimate, less than 10 women. I knew that I wanted to incorporate some kind of like an opening ceremony, something special, something to set the stage. I knew that I wanted to bring in and start it with some breath work, something to help us calm our nervous system, bring us to the present moment. I knew that I wanted to bring in some meditation where, so that what I did was I took everyone through a journey through visualization. It was themed honoring your light and shadow, and forgot to turn off my phone, honoring your light and shadow. And then I took them to this meditation. And then after that, we had a time for sharing if we wanted to share, which was very powerful. And then also ending with some self-reflection questions to help us release whatever we wanted to release. And had a fire ritual ceremony where some of us burned whatever we wanted to let go of in paper or symbolically through other options that I shared for them. And then we ended with our closing ceremony prayer. So it was really a beautiful time for connection, for release, for renewal, a way to help us kind of just shed whatever that's been weighing us down, and clearing the pathway for the new year. And so this is something I had never done before. I had done, I've done my meditations, and so that's why I think I felt comfortable doing it and bringing these women together. But there's something else that's different about holding space for a group of women, not just one person, like for example, through my coaching sessions or anything like that. There's something different, special, sacred when it's a group, holding space for a group of other women, like-minded women who are on a similar path of healing. Not just that, but aligning more with our most authentic self or higher self, or however you want to call it, to help us see our purpose, and that we're not just our wounds or anything like that, that there's more to us. There's more to our light, to our purpose, and our mission. So when we can connect with that greater purpose, we see that it's much more bigger than like our life of what we have at home, which is beautiful. Don't get me wrong. Like our life at home is beautiful with our family and our children, but this is how we could also expand outward to healing, to helping others in our community, or maybe the planet, or in just very small ways through connection. And this is how we do it. This is how we start, is with ourselves and then in community. So I'm really proud of myself for hosting that. It was a good turnout. And let's see, I'm looking forward to doing another one for the new year. So those are my wins that I can think of right now off the top of my head, friends, that I wanted to share with you, and the learning lessons that came along with it. There's never going to be a perfect time. Just start it and do it. Put yourself out there. Share your voice. Share your wisdom. Share what's helping you. Share your medicine. Share what's helped you through your journey with somebody else. And I bet you'll then realize like how powerful that is. And yeah, maybe start connecting with other people that you feel like are a similar interest of you. And even though it is kind of nerve-wracking and you might have thoughts about it, reach out, and I bet you'll be happy you did, because you can find a connection there, a genuine connection, and feel like there's some things you can relate on. Or maybe as with other relationships, it's not quite as the same anymore. Maybe things have changed and shifted. So, yeah, those are some of the things that I wanted to share. I just have a few self-reflection questions that I'd like to share with you. Again, these are not to like pressure us at all in any way. It's really just a moment to reflect back on our year and celebrating ourselves. Okay. So, one of the questions that I have so far is number 1: what moments this year made me feel most alive, calm, or connected? So number 1, what moments this year made me feel most alive, calm, or connected? And number 2, what felt heavy this year? And what did it ask me to learn? So what felt heavy or overwhelming this past year? And what could it be asking me to learn from it? Number 3, what am I proud of that no one else may have noticed? What am I proud of that no one else may have noticed? And again, these may be questions you self-reflect on now or in your mind. Number 4, where may I need to offer myself more grace? Where do I need to offer myself more grace? I feel like this is a big one. We feel like it can be really hard on ourselves sometimes. And our children have a way of like triggering that, me personally speaking. Okay. Number 5, what no longer feels aligned with who I'm becoming? What no longer feels aligned with who I'm becoming? So notice in your life, in the areas of your life, what feels good, what uplifts you, what brings you joy, what brings you down, what feels heavy. Is it your line of work? Is it a certain person or people? Is it a certain habit? Certain ways of thinking, right? Is it not matching up with these other things that you're doing or with your values? Right? So for example, if you are feeling like you're wanting to get healthy with your eating and your nutrition, but you notice that when it comes to weekends, and no judgment here, okay? You notice yourself drinking a lot more, or doing other kinds of triggers or habits that are not in alignment with that. And I think this is number 6. How do I want to feel in the year ahead? How do I want to feel in the year ahead? Number 7, because this is a lot of work that I've done on myself and I feel like it's really important. What would it look like to support my nervous system, not push it? So in other words, what kind of things might I need to do to help me support my nervous system instead of putting it in overdrive all the time or suppressing it? What would it look like to support my nervous system, not push it? And the last one, and again, you don't have to answer all of these. Maybe you'll answer a few or whichever ones stand out most to you. The last one for number 8, I believe. What one word or energy do I want to carry forward? What one word or energy do I want to carry forward? This one might kind of tie in with number 6 a little bit. Might kind of pair those two together. So there you have it, my friends. This is a wrap for 2025. I really hope that you take this time to honor yourself, celebrate yourself, reflect on your year, on the ups, on the downs, the learning lessons, the challenges, because that's really what they are, right? They're not failures. They're really just learning lessons. They're asking us to see, what can I learn from this that can help me grow? So as you close this year, I hope you remember you're not behind, okay, or lacking. You are evolving. And that's what we're meant to do. We're meant to evolve. We're meant to grow. We're not meant to stay stuck in the same self, same ways of thinking, same patterns. We're meant to expand. And that's one of my words for 2026 is expansion. You don't need to have everything figured out to be worthy of rest, joy, and support. Let this be the year you honor not just what you did, but who you became in the process. And I love this. And I feel like this is something we don't always acknowledge as well. So yeah, let this be the year that, we honor not just what we did, but who we are becoming. Thank you so much, friends. Thank you truly from the bottom of my heart for walking this journey with me. I'm so grateful for your presence here. I can't wait to continue this path in 2026 of healing, growth, and connection together in the year ahead, and bringing on some other amazing, inspiring, and empowering guests to share their powerful healing medicine stories. So I'm wishing you a 2026 filled with so much love, so much abundance and joy and passion and creativity and abundance in so many ways. And be safe out there. I will catch you on the next one. And also would really appreciate if you could leave a review if you haven't done that already, and share it with a friend or share it with a loved one who you feel may need to hear it today. Until next time, my friends, be gentle with yourself. I'll see you in the new year.